Okay, two things I want to talk about this week. The first story is kind of the shorter one, but it's the fact that Red Dead Redemption, the original, is coming to PC finally. I almost feel stupid for being this excited because it's like they took so long. It's like ridiculous. But here it is finally. We got the official announcement from Rockstar. So as you probably know, we have talked about it last year. Like it got ported to PS4, Nintendo Switch. But now, thankfully, things are coming home to roost on PC, and that is potentially really exciting. It's going to be Red Dead Redemption and then Undead Nightmare as well coming together. It's going to be on October 29th, this releases, and it's going to have PC features, which is good. Native 4K resolution, high refresh rates, ultra-wide monitor support. Thank you. It's got DLSS, FSR, all that fancy stuff. And I'm excited to really fire this puppy up and see how it looks good, like on a good machine, on a good monitor. I think that's potentially really exciting. Not to mention the fact that modders are going to go nuts with this thing. And I just really want to see that. I want to see, so we've all seen Red Dead Redemption a million times, but have you seen the stupidest possible version of it? Have you seen it with Homer Simpson or I don't know, I want to drive a car to Armadillo? You know, like there's so much that can be done here. And I'm really, really excited about that. Is that bad? Like, am I too online, but like the game is announced and I'm like more excited for like the memes and the YouTube videos? I don't know if I'm broken or not, but I do think that is really cool. And I say that because I just replayed Red Dead Redemption. So like I see this and I'm like, oh, if only I didn't just replay it. Not like you gotta force me to replay it again. I love Red Dead Redemption so much. But yeah, I did do a video like a year or so ago, so check that out if you want. I think it is an incredibly important game, great storytelling, a great Western, and it's just fun. Most importantly, that original online mode, I spent a lot of time on that, way more than Red Dead Redemption 2 online, but still. The other thing that is pretty exciting is getting this on Steam Deck. It was already cool to see Red Dead Redemption running on Nintendo Switch. I really like that they did port that over, but on Steam Deck, that's just another huge win. As someone who loves Steam Deck, I'm happy. As long as it runs all right, of course. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Like, which Red Dead Redemption do you like more? That's something I've never really debated in my head. I think they're both great for very different reasons. But yeah, I think that's a conversation that would be fun, maybe like a whole other video. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption for me was a really interesting spot in like the history of Rockstar games. As somebody who really loves Rockstar, you feel the DNA, you feel things coming off of like their experiments, like with Bully, the energy, the tone, the atmosphere, the way the music is composed, the way the music plays out. That kind of thing that they had been kind of doing and playing around with in their previous games really came to a head with Red Dead Redemption in really good ways. And in a lot of ways, it also felt kind of interesting coming from like the weighty physics-based movement of Grand Theft Auto 4, but kind of perfecting that, toning it down, really making sure it's still kind of fun and really doing it right with Red Dead. I'm like yapping all over the place with this. Ultimately, I am excited that, you know, there's a good possibility that some people who have never played Red Dead Redemption now finally will. I think that's really good. It's a fun world to spend time with. But also, the real question is, we're never going to get a remaster of this, but Red Dead Revolver? Red Dead Revolver is awesome, okay? Red Dead Revolver is like the weird black sheep in the history of the Red Dead games. People forget about it. It's technically like a totally different game, totally different situation, a former Capcom title. There's a lot of interesting story behind it, but also it was just a really, really fun Western arcade shooter that, again, had cool style, had good use of music. It is totally different, but I have fond memories of that one too. So as usual, welcome to Two Things. If you don't know yet, I've been doing this every Wednesday. I just talk about two news topics I find really interesting. Where on Game Ranks, the Friday news show, I get you caught up on all the news. Here's where I like to just dive into one or two topics I find really interesting. So the next bit of news, of course, is Halo. Halo returns. I'm reading this from The Verge. It'll be linked in the description down below, but Microsoft is moving its Halo development to Unreal Engine 5 after more than a year of rumors of an engine switch, leadership overhaul at 343 Industries, layoffs, and other changes. So now 343 Industries is becoming Halo Studios as part of this engine change announcement, hoping to mark a new chapter in the history of Halo. They also confirmed that multiple new Halo projects are in the works and kind of selling that energy of like, a breath of fresh air for Halo, a little bit of a revival, something like that. But for me, with something like this, with this far of a track record and this amount of time they've spent with 343 and with Halo, kind of like scrambling a little bit for years and years, I gotta see it to believe it. I can, on the one hand, be excited for a little bit of a revival or a refresh or a rethinking of Halo, them really giving it another good honest shot. I can be excited for that while also still being extremely skeptical. Yes, 343 is now rebranded to Halo Industries. The leadership has changed. A lot of people have left. There's been a lot of turnover, but still, it's still kind of potentially a somewhat similar situation, at least from the outside looking in. I have no way of knowing. And with Unreal Engine 5, yeah, that's great, cool. Like the lighting, they even talked about like using Lumen and the lighting and the technology. Yeah, it's gonna look great, cool. Look at that little Master Chief, that little squatty looking guy they showed off. Yeah, awesome. But for me, that was never my concern as a player. If anything, with Halo Infinite, I think it played pretty damn well. Of course, like at least from like the physics and like how a lot of it worked. Obviously, people have their issues with Halo Infinite, of course, but it was really for them justifying it, like the slip space engine that they had kind of worked up for Halo Infinite just really hurt the development. The amount of time they had to spend tinkering with it, working with it, slowed down things, and that led to some of the troubled issues. So, okay, great, more efficient development, but for me, it's not necessarily like the efficiency, right, of getting out a new Halo every year or whatever, like a Call of Duty. It's just about getting them right. And at this point, I'm done with the Halo story and everything. As much as I admitted, like I liked the campaign for Halo Infinite, it was short and small. And unfortunately, it's at a point I'm like, where do we keep going with this Master Chief story? So this is one of the rare instances where like I do want a little bit of a reboot or a refresh or something of Master Chief of Halo, because Halo 4, 5, and Infinite, story-wise, just really didn't do it for me. They squandered so much potential. And really, that's my big thing here, looking into this. Like, I say Halo is important, and I say it as somebody who had an original Xbox. I saw Halo. I went out and bought an Xbox because I thought it was so cool. As a PlayStation fan, Halo is just such an important franchise for gaming, yes, but also, obviously, for Microsoft and Xbox. And how they've kind of fumbled it, one way or another for this long, I think is just such a fascinating thing. So I'm wondering, is this the end of that story? Is this going to mark the end of that fumbling? Are we going to look back at history books at this announcement as when the tide started to change? I don't know, and I am skeptical, I think healthily so, but I can hope for the best. I don't know, it's Halo. It's like our younger brother. We hope he does well. We hope he doesn't fucking end up in jail. What a weird metaphor. It was already tough with Halo Infinite. It's going to be tough moving forward, right? Like Halo Infinite was jumping into a sea of live service games and multiplayer shooters that people were totally hooked on and spending hours and hours in Fortnite, Apex Legends, whatever the hell you wanted. But so it was already tough then. It's still going to be tough for the next Halo to really carve out its own identity, where back in the day, it was just Halo. Now, there's so much more. So like we learned with Infinite, Halo has to do a lot. And I say that as like an industry person, like analyzing, talking. Me personally, I just want like a cool ass, big, open, fun campaign. That sense of feeling of exploring Halo in the original Halo. Something like that, or seeing Earth and waging war on Earth in Halo 2. The crazy escalation of Halo 3. I don't know. It was just a good time. I don't need a rehash of that, but if they can capture that magic, that feel again, that's what I'm looking for. So those were two things I wanted to talk about today, but I always throw in a bonus thing at the end that nobody really cares about or wants to click on. And this time, buckle up, kiddies. It's time to talk about a spooky Halloween time movie. So it's October. Every year, my wife and I, we kind of like make a rough list of Halloween movies we want to watch. Horror movies, horror adjacent movies, Halloween movies. And the list is a mix of things we watch every year, like Sleepy Hollow, one of my favorites. Charlie Brown, it's the pumpkin fuck you Charlie Brown, whatever they call that. That one is more of Amanda's favorite, but Hocus Pocus, Halloween, the basic stuff, that's always on the list. But then every year we throw in new things here and there. Horror movies we haven't seen in a while, some we want to revisit, some we've never seen. And this year I put on the list, because it was on Netflix, Van Helsing. I haven't seen Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman since it released. I actually remember the video game more. So there's that. But this is me also recommending it to you because as of right now, if you're in the US, it is on Netflix, but what a fucking movie. I know like a lot of us have grown cynical of the studio machine and CGI fest and cynical, like every movie is a superhero movie or a franchise thing, yes. But there's something that's so earnest about Van Helsing. It is so just like happy to be there and trying to make everything cool and ridiculous as possible. If you look at this movie now with an uncynical eye and just like, this is fucking awesome, it's awesome. It is an absolutely ridiculous premise, making Van Helsing, the famous character from the original Bram Stoker Dracula novel, a badass dude, like a John Constantine, like bounty hunter hybrid guy. It is just such a crazy, like movie studio executive CEO cocaine brain idea. You can't help but love it. And how it embraces and uses the roster of, the classic Universal monsters, or Come for short. Shout out to Pretty Much It for shout out to Pretty Much It for coining that one. But yeah, having Dracula, having the Wolfman, having Frankenstein, and just doing crazy shit with them. Like the fact that like I feel like someone in a room somewhere was like, okay, so like what if Dracula was actually trying to make Frankenstein and he had to like use Wolfman for it? Like it's just crazy ideas. Hugh Jackman punches Mr. Hyde off of the top of the Notre Dame Cathedral. It is so much fun. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. It drags in spots, sure. But the most important thing, dude, and I was gonna say it as a mummy weirdo, as a mummy freak, it's directed by Stephen Sommers. And it totally feels it, from the way the music is utilized to the sense of adventure of it all, the swashbuckling, old school globe-trotting nature of it. Is it his best movie? No way. Not by any means, but it's still got that feel. From having Benny in it, from The Mummy here as Igor in a bunch of makeup, even though you can totally tell it's him, to just, I don't know, the fun of it all, the good action. That just works for me. And then it's got like CGI that's okay. Sometimes it's really, really bad, but it's also got some cool sets. Like when Hugh Jackman goes to the small town in Transylvania and it's like snowy and all the ramshackle buildings. It looks like Resident Evil Village from the beginning. You got like a Russian Orthodox church. Like, it all just looks incredible from a visual standpoint. This movie is nuts. And I've talked about it enough. I will just say, go watch it. Thank me later. It's dumb. It's bad, but also it's great. It's also funny to see a time, like an interesting time in Hollywood where like Hugh Jackman dropped as Wolverine and then Hollywood was like, what else do we do with this guy? His accent is all over the place in this movie. It's a good time. So anyway, that's my official review and recommendation of Van Helsing, the 2004 film. Don't forget the also pretty good video game tie-in. That's also bad. Anyway, those were two things I wanted to talk about, plus Van Helsing. So let me know in the comments what you think about Halo returning, but also Red Dead Redemption on PC. Are you a modder? Are you a mod enjoyer? What are you going to do? Let's talk about any of this stuff down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But if you get what I'm trying to do here, I just like stuff. I'm just talking about stuff I love. Clicking the like button helps me. Thank you. But that's it. I've talked enough. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.